Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Undesired and Prescribed podcast. I am Brown Sugar, and I'm coming at you with another episode. Obviously, I don't know where I was going with that, but never mind that. I just got out of the shower, and in the shower, I had this really good quote. I came up with this with myself. I was watching Shark Tank, all right, and watching Shark Tank inspires me to think of these really great quotes. So I think this might have been like my best one yet. Now, try to follow along with me here. And I'm being sincere when I say this. I'm not trying to be funny. So if this makes sense, I think this is a really good quote. To me, it makes sense. All right, so success is the byproduct of when the unstoppable force collides with the immovable object. All right, the unstoppable force is time. It's business, and it was something else too, but I can't remember it. All right, and time and business, and this is particularly pertains to Shark Tank. All right, so like in the sense of the business world, but obviously you can just apply this to time, mainly just business. All right, so let's just stick with it. All right, when the unstoppable force collides with the immovable object. All right, time is that time in business is that unstoppable force. It flattens people on the daily, and it will until the end of time. It crushes them. All right, but that unstoppable force. I mean that immovable object. If you are that immovable object, okay, and when you clash with that I can't remember the goddamn quote, but listen, basically, be successful. Define your own success and whatnot. God damn it, I should have recorded when I was in the goddamn shower. It was a really good quote, and I went into like all these other like analogies and like other fucking language vocabularies, but not even the point of the episode today. So speaking of vocabulary and analogies and whatnot, so today I was working at GameStop, and this woman had called, and then she was asking about Xbox controllers, and then she said that I'll probably be in a little bit, and she came in later that day, and she walked in, and then I was doing something with the action figures, so I was away from there, so I started walking, and we're basically walking like alongside each other, but like not right next to each other, obviously. And I was looking at her, I was all like, she seems very familiar, like I know her, like even her like voice. And then she started asking me like questions and stuff like that about the Xbox controllers, and then she was wanted to like show. I showed her which ones I had, and she took a picture of them and was like, "I'm gonna go ask my son." And then that's when it didn't like hit me. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is my teacher from 7th and 8th grade, Mrs. Keister." And I love Mrs. Keister, and anytime that people bring up like favorite teachers or whatnot, I always bring her up. And I was just talking about her like 2 or 3 weeks ago or something like that. But so she comes back in, and then she says, "I'll take both of these because she has like multiple kids and stuff like that." And then I asked her, I was like, "Are you a teacher?" He said like, I was pretty sure it was her because I feel like I'm really good at remembering people. And if I say I don't remember you, then I'm probably lying because I wish I didn't know you. But besides the point, and she was like confused, was like, "Yeah." It's all like, "Woodside, right?" And it's just like, "Yeah." And then she started catching on that I was one of her former students. And then I told her who I was. And then she was like, "Oh my gosh, Jared," because like I don't mean to toot my own horn, but it seemed like she liked me a lot because I was like a good student in her class, and it was a language class. I think it was like a language like workshop class. It had like a very small number of people, so it was real easy to like get to know like her students and then like interact with them. But besides the point, and no, it's not a remedial ed class, by the way, you dipshits. I just want to clear that up. This is basically the class of people too lazy to do good like on their standardized testings, or who just didn't care about language class. So obviously I was in there because in middle school I didn't give a fuck. I literally had like, I never did like homework and shit like that. I had like F's like all the time. But what the fuck? What were they going to do? It's middle school, so who the fuck cares? Anyways, um, So small number of kids in that class, so real easy to like interact with your students. And the 7th grade year, um, I liked her a lot, and I was really nice to her because like if you until you get to like if I don't know you, I'm usually very nice to you, and like it's not I don't start being a dick to you until I actually like know whether or not I like you or not. But obviously to teachers I want to be dicks to them. But so had her 7th grade, and then 8th grade year, she actually had her kid and her other kid over the summer, so she took off the first semester because maternity leave, and then she came back the second semester and had her again, and she was so excited to have me and see me again and work with me, blah blah blah. But yeah, so she recognizes me, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're all grown up now. You have all the ink." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have all the ink." And she's like, "I didn't even recognize you." I'm like, "Yeah, for one mask, and then also like, I definitely look a lot different now than when I did back in middle school for obvious reasons." But yeah, so we like caught up a little bit, stuff like that, and it was really nice. And then before she left, I proceeded to like let her know, I was like, you're like one of my favorite like all time teachers. Like I still talk about you to this day, and like how I was just like talking about her like a few weeks ago, and she said that like filled her heart. It made her so happy. And like what teacher wouldn't want to hear that? It's like that you were somebody's like favorite teacher. And she brought up the points like, it's like kind of weird because, in middle school, we're usually just like the ones that were like glossed over, blah 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 blah. Everybody remembers their high school teachers or the elementary school teachers. But no, she stood out specifically to me in middle school because of how not it was more so of how she like attempted to actually like get to know us. And like I said, it was a smaller class, so it was real easy. But I'm a shy person. I'm a lot more outgoing now than back then. I would still say I'm fairly shy, but I was extremely shy in school, and I always wanted to have like a good relationship with like a teacher and stuff like that, to where like I could like actually like talk to them. And she was kind of probably about the closest thing that I got to that, because although we probably weren't as close like as some people could be with their teachers, and how I've seen like some of my friends got with some of their teachers, even teachers that I had. But the reason that I liked her and she stood out is because she made an effort to like get to know me and the rest of her class, and like actually converse with us and like talk to us about like aspirations and dreams and stuff like that. So that's why it was real easy for me to like get along with her, vibe with her, and then really enjoy like being in her class. So the fact that she took like an interest in me and who I was, it made me want to excel in her class. So I was just like, I don't want to be like the person that, like, I wanted her to be proud of me. I wanted her to be like be very happy with what I was doing. So 7th grade, we did this thing called it was called Study Island, and it was basically like a workshop to like refine your like language skills and stuff like that. And I made a genuine effort to be really good at it, so I took the extra effort and like learned to become like better with fucking pronouns, fucking all this other shit. All right, that's the only way I can describe it. Like all the language shit, because I wouldn't say I didn't know it, but I definitely never like paid attention and like learned. Like I knew what the words like pronouns and complex sentences and shit like that. So like I knew like the names in them, but I couldn't like probably identify a good portion of them. So not only did it help me become like a better like language student, so she definitely had an impact like on my education, and obviously my outlook on teachers. But it wasn't until after she left today that it dawned on me, because I've always been like the person in the mindset is like, yeah, I know teachers are important, but like I haven't had anybody like really impact my life in a major way like how some people have. But then I started to think about why I loved her class so much, why I felt inclined to do so well in her class, and in a sense make her proud, is because she actually had a lot bigger impact on me than I didn't even know. So up until today, I considered that I never had like a teacher that impacted me or my education in a big way until I actually like thought about her and I had that conversation and I was talking to her. So obviously she impacted my education in that way, specifically for that class, yes. But the more like outside of education, the impact that she had on my life is me finding outlets to express my creativity. So if you know me on a personal level where we're like friends, or even if we're like, like me, like my complexities and shit like that, you know that I'm a very creative person. I mean, like I do podcasting, I stream, obviously. I have tattoos, so I'm somebody who is very creative, to say the least, not to toot my own horn, but I consider myself somebody that is, exploding with creativity. This might be gassing myself, but I consider myself a very creative person. I have just so much creativity like going on like in my head that I don't know what to do with it for my own good. But one day in class, this was back when we had like not the projectors. Fuck, what were they called? They were like they had like like fucking Cleo. No, they're not projectors, but I forget what they're called. But and she displayed this picture of a woman on the screen. It was an old woman, and she said, like, your assignment is to just make a story about this image. And it was this old woman, and I was like, how the fuck am I going to make a story about this old woman? It's like, this doesn't make any sense. But right then and there, I kind of just I was like, well, I have like these ideas, but they're dumb ideas. But I was like, I mean, fine, let's just go for it. And I ended up naming this old woman Stuart, and I basically turned her into like this badass who like, like went around, like fought people, shit like that. She's like a secret agent type shit. And that was, and I remember like everybody's like sharing, because she was like, had like the whole class like share like what they had wrote about for each of their stuff. And everybody's like vanilla, plain Jane, basic and shit like that. And then we get to mine, and mine's just honestly like fucked up and weird. But she loved it because it was like creative. And I remember I was like, okay, so this is like my thing now, because I'm also a comedian, obviously. So I was like, I found my shtick, so I only have to like keep doing it. So every time we had an assignment like that, I would always I would introduce this as part of like the Stuart saga, the storyline of Stuart. And it would all like pertain to this old lady like beating the shit out of people. I even gave her an arch nemesis, and like there'd be like just random images that she'd put up, and I would like somehow include her and make it like the focal point of that specific story. And these were block classes, so we had like 90-minute classes to like do this too. So we'd like spend like multiple class periods, not like the whole class period, but like half the class doing this and the other half doing that study island, blah blah blah. But that's what first gave me an outlet to like make me realize, I like to write. And I still write to this very day, and I consider myself a very creative writer. All right, I don't think I can consider myself a great writer, but anybody that has read anything that I've written, they will definitely say it's at the bare minimum creative. Ask my friends about A Very Daring Night of Horror. That was a story that I wrote, I think, last year during quarantine, that involved all my friends at work, and the villains were like the fucking people at work that we hated. So she inspired me to get that, to take my creativity and push it into something that I can express it. I have conversations with myself on a daily basis throughout the day, in my head, in person, in front of a mirror. And like I will pace around my room every single night, just like imagining things that would happen. Like this is like a little bit of like insight to like how fucking weird I really am. But that's just because I'm thinking about a million different things at once. At least in my free time, like I take Adderall now, so not all the time. So am I not all the time? I'm just like I'm not thinking about a million things like all the time now. But like in my free moments when I don't need to concentrate on something or focus on one thing, I'm I'm going through like a million different things. Like I remember when I was a kid, I had three celebrities that I invented, and they're all based off of me, but they're triplets. They all did their own thing. One was a rap star, the other was a professional wrestler, and the other one was a big movie star. All right, and I would just imagine they'd all do their own thing, blah 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 blah. You know, one be winning the WWE championship, while the other one made a Grammy winning rap album, while the other one just won his like 15th Oscar or some shit like that. It was crazy. And I used to think it was weird back then. You know, it's like I was like I thought it was like to myself like, you know, kids do this, so it's not super weird, but it didn't necessarily feel normal at the same time. So when I gained this outlet to express my creativity, I poured so much into it. I poured so much into the Stewart saga that when 7th grade ended, I was genuinely disappointed because I was like, well, now there's like I felt like there was no reason to write about Stewart anymore because like I did it for that class and it felt weird to write about it if I didn't have to do it for that class. But then it made me start writing like stories by myself at my on my own time at home on my dad's laptop. Like I would like I was big into big into video games forever now. I would write war stories that didn't make any sense. I would write heroic stories, zombie apocalypse stories, and it really gave me, you know, the confidence to like go out and do that on my own time. And I still write to this day, obviously. I already mentioned that earlier, but it wasn't until today that I can really that I can have a teacher that I can consider somebody who has impacted me in an educational way, but more importantly, in a way that's outside of school. And it's crazy to think about. You know, I've been around for almost 22 years now, and I've gone so long thinking about how I don't think about this all the time, but like when people would bring up, you know, oh yeah, I love this teacher. Yeah, they're so great at impacting my life and my education and stuff like that. I would kind of feel a little like, you know, I not feel bad, but like I would start immediately thinking in my head, I was like, well, I don't have a teacher like that, so fuck it, fucking great for you, I guess. While in reality, I had one this whole time, and it wasn't until coming across her again that I had the opportunity to realize it. So, firstly, I would just like to thank Mrs. Keister. You've been a great help and a great impact. And in all honesty, if it wasn't for you and that class, I probably wouldn't be talking right now on my podcast. So, genuinely thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I just wish I had the opportunity. I really hope she says that she will see me around, so I really hope that I do get to see her soon. That way I can get like a real opportunity to actually thank her because, like I said, it wasn't until that she left that I sat down and actually realized that, hey, there was a teacher in my life that made me feel like she valued my education, but also valued like me as a person. And subconsciously, I wouldn't say subconsciously, like it gave me outlets to express my creativity, which is like the main point of the whole topic, or the whole point of like what she is inspired out of me. But also just the fact that she was a very incredible person and she said that she's hoping to be able to start teaching soon. If I do remember correctly, because I know her and her husband just recently opened a shop. I think it was like a graphic shop. I think that's what she had told me. But but I think she also said that she wanted to get back into teaching too. So I hope that she does, because from my point of view, my educational standpoint, I wouldn't say that I was a success. But if she took me, somebody who I mean, I graduated from high school on time, so I guess I'm like the bare minimum of success. So if she can take like the bare minimum of success and inspire like great out of them, or the good out of them, then I really think that she might be a big help to other people. And for teachers that do have that effect on kids, that's genuinely amazing, and I'm very proud of you for going above and beyond your job as a teacher, and actually like mentor these kids to like some capacity, whether it was intentional or not. But I guess that was really like the main point of this whole episode, was just really to express gratitude and share that story with you. That way, maybe if you start thinking, maybe if you're like me and you don't consider yourself much of like a school person, that maybe there was a teacher or teacher assistant, I don't know, whatever, help that did have an effect on you and is still having an effect on you to this day. So just some food for thought. That's why I wanted to share my thoughts on that thought and be a nice little story too. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to the Undesired and Prescribed podcast, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And until the next UP, I will see you guys. Take care.